You are listening to Housekeepers Chat by the United States Department of Agriculture from 1926. Disclaimer: this is read from a historic archive document. Do not assume content reflects current scientific knowledge, policies, or practices. This broadcast was aired 27th of October 1926.
Let's pretend we're visiting the Bureau of Plant Industry this morning for about 5 minutes. A lady in Missouri has asked me 4 questions about houseplants, which I can't answer myself. Here we are, this big white building on the east. Come right in and meet the plant specialist of the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Yes, he looks as if he knows a considerable amount about houseplants. We'll see if he can answer her questions. First, she wants to know why her rose bush, which is several years old and thrifty looking, doesn't bloom. The plant specialist says the rose bush is probably a stalk or root on which a special variety has been budded. For some reason the top has died and the growth has come from the root. He suggests that you destroy the plant and set a standard variety in its place. Question number 2. Is it all right to water plants with city water which has been treated with chemicals? Not desirable, says the plant specialist. Well, water is all right, providing the water is suitable for household use, but rainwater is more desirable. Question number 3. How should I protect a baby rambler rose this winter? Here's the answer. Baby rambler roses should have earth thrown up about them to the height of about a foot or more. It would be desirable to cut off the tops to within 6 or 8 inches of the soil. If evergreen boughs, brush, or straw is available, this might be thrown loosely over the tops in mounds or ridges. 4th question, should peony roots be taken up before cold weather? Answer, not necessarily. Peony roots will stand the cold weather in any part of the United States. If you are going to transplant some roots, do it as soon as possible. That finishes the questions of the lady from Missouri. While we're here, I might as well ask a question that's been bothering me. How can I tell when houseplants should be repotted? Houseplants should be repotted about once a year, says the plant specialist, or as often as they become pot-bound. Loosen the ball of earth from the pot by jarring on the edge. If the ball has become completely filled with roots, it should be repotted. What kind of soil should I use in repotting houseplants? Use a soil consisting of equal parts of rotted manure, clay loam, and sand, says the plant specialist. If any of you want more information about houseplants, send your questions to me and we'll visit the Bureau of Plant Industry again. The rest of the questions are the kind I can answer with the help of the Bureau of Home Economics. Question number 1. Why have you been telling us that vegetables, especially the green leaf kinds, should be cooked for only a short time and in little or no water? Because short, quick cooking of vegetables conserves their vitamins. Cooking in little or no water helps to save the minerals needed by the body. When vegetables are cooked in a great deal of water, these minerals are dissolved in the water, which is often thrown away. Question number 2. You told us the other day that the body uses starch as fuel to keep the body warm and to provide it with energy. Will you please tell us what foods are particularly rich in starch? Bread, breakfast cereals, rice, macaroni, some of our seed vegetables, such as peas, lima beans, corn, and of course potatoes and sweet potatoes. Cakes and all puddings and pudding sauces that contain a large proportion of flour for thickening are also starchy foods. The next question is right in line with our starch question. Do cereals for children need to be cooked for several hours? Cereals for children, as well as for grown-ups, need be cooked only until the grains or whatever form the cereal is in are soft and palatable. Starch, which is one of the chief food materials in cereals, doesn't taste good unless it is thoroughly cooked. Raw starch used to be considered very indigestible. That led to the idea that cereals, especially for children and persons of delicate digestion, should be cooked a long time. Many of the packaged breakfast cereals now on the market have been pre-cooked, wholly or partly. All some of them need is brief cooking in a double boiler. Question 4 is from a housewife in Utah. If a cake recipe calls for a number of eggs, can I substitute baking powder and milk for 1 or 2 of the eggs? If so, how much? She asks. 2 tablespoons of milk and 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder can be used as the equivalent of 1 egg in some cake recipes. When eggs are scarce, sponge cakes can be changed this way, so as not to use so many eggs. The next 3 questions are about milk, which is important enough to warrant 3 questions, all in one day. At what temperature should milk be kept, is the first question. Milk should be kept at or below 50 degrees Fahrenheit. If held at a temperature above 50 degrees Fahrenheit, the growth of spoilage organisms soon produces changes which render the milk unfit to be used as food, especially in the case of children. Question 2. Is buttermilk as nutritious as sweet milk? Buttermilk has about the same value as skim milk. Its food value may be increased by adding cream. With the addition of cream, buttermilk contains all the original constituents of whole milk. The casein of buttermilk is often more easily digested than that of sweet milk. Third question. Is it true that cream is hard to digest? Ordinarily, cream is one of the most easily and thoroughly digested of the common fat foods. Like any other concentrated fat, it may cause disturbance if eaten in over large quantities. Most of the questions were about food today. I have one other question about food, but since it's a request for a recipe, I'll leave it till the last. I think it's one you will all want to take down. Here's a question from a Washington housekeeper. She wants to know what to do for an upholstered chair, which was left out in the rain and has a musty, mildewed odor. A standard method used by commercial cleaners in cleaning upholstered furniture is to first remove the dirt thoroughly, either by boating or using a vacuum cleaner. Then they go over the upholstery very carefully with carbon tetrachloride or gasoline. A soft cloth or brush is used for this purpose. However, the Bureau of Home Economics doesn't encourage the use of gasoline for home cleaning because of the danger from fire. Carbon tetrachloride is not inflammable. In most cases, it is just as effective as gasoline in stain removal. Another question from the same listener. What can I use to brighten an upholstered sofa cover, which is dimmed with dust from storage? If you are sure the material won't fade, a dilute, neutral, lukewarm soap solution may be applied to the upholstery. Allow this to dry on. It often produces a lustrous effect on cotton materials. I'm sending you a copy of Farmer's Bulletin 1180, House Cleaning Made Easier, which may give you some other suggestions. You may use the link in the More Information section below for your own copy. Next question. Please tell me how to remove fruit stains from a white tablecloth. The Bureau of Home Economics gives this method of removing fresh fruit stains from white, or from fast-colored washable material. Stretch the stained material over a bowl or other vessel. Hold it by a string or an elastic band if necessary, and pour boiling water upon it from a tea kettle held at a height of 3 or 4 feet, so that the water strikes the stain with some force. With some stains, especially those in which fruit pulp is present, a little rubbing, alternated with applications of boiling water, is helpful. A stain remaining after this treatment can often be bleached out by hanging the wet material in the sun to dry. If there is still a stain, after the boiling water treatment, moisten the stain with lemon juice and expose it to the bright sunlight. A listener from Arkansas, who says she is chief cook for 6 people, wants a good rice and vegetable combination. The vegetables she has available now are tomatoes, onions, and green peppers. In a case of this kind, we'll make the recipe fit the vegetables. I'm glad you mentioned rice. It's nutritious and easily digested. Comparatively inexpensive, too. I'm sending the Arkansas homekeeper a copy of the bulletin, Rice is Food, which has some excellent suggestions for using rice in desserts, salads, cakes, soups, and baked and stewed dishes. You can also find the link to this bulletin below in the More Information section. Now we're ready for the recipe, which is called Spanish rice. For this dish, you will need 3 medium-sized onions, half cup drippings, a half cup uncooked rice, 3 cups fresh or canned tomatoes, 3 green peppers cut into strips, 2 tablespoons salt. Slice the onions and cook until tender and slightly brown in the melted fat. Remove them from the fat, add the rice, which has been carefully washed and dried, and brown it. Then add the cooked onions, the tomatoes, the green peppers, and the salt. Turn the mixture into a baking dish and bake it until the rice and the peppers are tender. This makes 6 or 8 servings. I'm going to add this recipe to the radio cookbooks, if you have not. Received your copy of the radio cookbook, which contains all the recipes and menus which I have been broadcasting since the 4th of October, write to your local radio station, and a copy of the book will be sent to you. Tomorrow there will be another menu, including mock duck and a delicious recipe for candied sweet potatoes.
This broadcast was researched and produced by BreakAway Empire LLC.